Status Quo's career spans over 60 years in the music industry, and throughout that time, there have been many people who helped to promote them, whether journalists or radio presenters, TV presenters, people in media, people in music. There are so many people who helped get them to the top of their industry. And what I thought I would do is sort of start a series of episodes, kind of focusing in on specific personalities. And this year marks 85 years since the birth of, and sadly 20 years since the passing of, the legendary late radio and TV presenter Tommy Vance, who rock and heavy metal fans will know from the Friday Rock Show, which he presented for 15 years from 1978 to 1993. Now, he was born on the 11th of July, 1940, and after a short spell in the Merchant Navy as a cabin boy, he gets into radio in America because he hears radio over there and thinks, I like the style of this, I think I'm going to get into it. So he joins a station in Seattle and later a station in Los Angeles and does all kinds of things around there. Then in 1965, a year later, he joins Radio Caroline South, a pirate radio station. After a couple of years, he sees that the radio industry is starting to change and the BBC are going to start to change their stuff. So he joins Big L, Radio London, for a short period before joining the BBC alongside a lot of other personalities that were on those pirate stations. And one of the first things they get him to do is present the radio show, progressive music show, Top Gear, not that one, alongside John Peel. He eventually, again, does a variety of different works, joins the BBC World Service, does Capital Radio from 1973, shortly after its launch. His fame is such at this point that he then makes a cameo appearance in the 1975 music film Slade in Flame. And then he rejoins the BBC in 1978 to front the Friday Rock Show, which is, I think, it's one of the most iconic radio shows in the history of rock music. If you're outside of the UK, from what I can gather, this was a huge deal. I mean, my dad was a fan, listened every week, introduced him to so much like rock and heavy metal music. And Tommy was perfect for this because by that time, he had this sort of deep, gravelly, almost kind of American late night radio style that worked perfectly. And every edition of the Friday Rock Show was introduced by intro music, because in those days you had intro music for a radio show, and he used the track predominantly the Dixie Dregs' Take It Off the Top. And I'm sure even now, if you happen to hear it out of context, it still makes you think of Tommy Vance and the Friday Rock Show. He played all kinds of stuff on there. He introduced people to lots of different things. And in addition to that, he had live sessions as well, one of which we shall get to. So around the time of the Friday Rock Show, around 1982 to 84, he's also the voice you hear on the Top 40. His delivery style being absolutely perfect. Even listening back to it now, you just can't help. You're listening to every word, which is 100% loud, clear, and extremely boomy as well. As with other Radio 1 presenters around this period, he's hosting Top of the Pops occasionally as well. It was during his period in Top of the Pops that you got to see Tommy Vance in person, and he kind of looked exactly how you would expect him to look given the sound of his voice. He was this cool guy with sort of short hair, shades or glasses, and usually like a leather jacket or something, and just knocking it out of the park. Such an iconic voice and presence. In 1982, he becomes a huge part of the Quo kind of legend, because that year they do a series of concerts at the NEC in Birmingham for the Prince's Trust. Tommy Vance's voice and presence is all over that footage that was broadcast on BBC One. He also did a trail for it as well. He is the voice that you hear introducing. That same year, they played the Monsters of Rock Festival in Donington. He is the voice of that too, because he was the compere there on more than one occasion. A couple of years later, in 1984, 83, 84, From the Makers Of comes out. Advertisement for that compilation, which included the NEC 82 gig. In it, an edited version of it anyway, Tommy Vance is the voice that you hear on it. Fast forward a year later, Tommy Vance also introduced Quo at Live Aid. So he has had a huge effect, I think, on the promotion of Quo over the years. I mean, he had them on his program several times, and I'm sure many people as well remember that about a week after the NEC gigs took place, he broadcast it on the Friday Rock Show, and I'm sure many people turning up their amplifiers to hear 4,500 times in all of its glory. And I remember my dad playing the end of this on this old beaten up cassette, right? And playing 4,500 times, and then it ending, and then counting like 1, 2, 3. And then it's like the beginning of Paper Plane or something. It's like, after 20 minutes of playing, and to go straight into that. And of course, there would have been many people, hearing this on Radio 1 throughout the country. Now, alongside the Friday Rock Show, he did stuff all over the world. He did a lot of TV work as well, certainly in his later years. With the Friday Rock Show, after some changes that were made at Radio 1, he left there and was replaced by Claire Sturgis. He spent 15 years presenting that show, but I think everybody that grew up in that generation, that listened every week and was introduced to the variety of different rock and heavy metal artists that he played, they'll never forget the sound of TV on the radio, the music vendor. In his later years, he did sort of a version of the Friday Rock Show on VH1. He presented Rock Salad on the World Service. He has become sort of synonymous with rock music. But he did a lot of other things as well. Too much to mention in this episode. He sadly passed away in March 2005 at the age of 64. But as I say, his legend still continues to live on. I'm a member of a Friday Rock Show group. Hello to them. Massive shout out, keeping the iconic voice and work of Tommy Vance alive and well. So, did you listen to the Friday Rock Show? Did they introduce you to Quo? Did you hear the NEC gig in 82? What are your thoughts on all of these subjects and more? Rest in peace, Tommy. Thank you so much for all of the entertainment that is still out there to listen to and enjoy. And from me, Jamie Dyer at the Quo-Cast, thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye for now.